There is a moment, just one, that changes everything. For some people, it is the day they get married. For others, it is the day they hold their first child. For me, it was the day I watched a green and white garbage truck roll past my office window, and I saw his face through the glass. Marcus. The man who told me I was nothing. The man who said I would never amount to anything. The man who threw me away like I was garbage. Now he was wearing my company logo on his chest, collecting trash from the streets I now owned buildings on. I wish I could tell you I felt victorious in that moment. I wish I could say I smiled, waved, and felt the sweet taste of revenge on my tongue. But the truth? I felt nothing. And that nothing, that complete and total peace, was worth more than any revenge I could have ever dreamed of. This is my story. This is how I went from being discarded to being the one who decides what gets thrown away. I remember the rain. It was a Tuesday in October, the kind of day where the sky cannot decide if it wants to storm or just weep. I was standing in our apartment, the one we had picked out together, the one where we had planned our future, and Marcus was packing a suitcase. Not his suitcase. Mine. You need to leave, Denise, he said, not even looking at me. His hands moved mechanically, folding my clothes with the same care he used to fold his gym towels. This is not working anymore. I stood frozen by the bedroom door, watching him dismantle 3 years of my life in under 20 minutes. What do you mean this is not working? My voice came out smaller than I intended. We just talked about getting engaged last month. You said. I know what I said. He finally looked at me, and that is when I saw it. The coldness. The detachment. Like he was looking at a stranger. Like he was looking at something he needed to dispose of. People change, Denise. I changed. Changed into what? He zipped the suitcase and set it by my feet. Into someone who wants more. More. That word hit me like a slap. More than what? I asked, even though I already knew the answer. Even though I could feel it in the way he had been pulling away for months. In the way he stopped touching me. In the way he started staying late at work. In the way he looked at his phone with a smile that was never for me. More than this. He gestured around the apartment. More than working paycheck to paycheck. More than me. He did not deny it. There is someone else, I said. It was not a question. Marcus walked past me, grabbed his keys from the counter, and opened the front door. The rain was coming down harder now, and I could smell the wet pavement rising up from the street below. Her name is Vivian, he said, like he was telling me about the weather. She works in finance. She has her life together. She is going places. And I am not. He looked at me one last time, and I will never forget what he said next. The words that would haunt me for years. The words that would eventually become the fuel for everything I built. Denise, you work at a waste management company. You sort through other people's garbage for a living. You smell like trash half the time. You have no degree, no ambition, no future. He shook his head like I was something to pity. I cannot build a life with someone like you. You are beneath me. And then he walked out. He just walked out. I stood there in the doorway, rain misting onto my face, watching him get into his car and drive away to his new life. His better life. His life without me. The suitcase sat at my feet like an accusation. I was 27 years old, and I had just been thrown away like garbage. I did not sleep that night. I sat on the floor of that empty apartment, because it was his apartment, his name on the lease, his furniture, his everything, and I stared at the walls until the sun came up. The thoughts came in waves. He is right. You are nothing. You have nothing. You are nothing. You work a dead-end job. You never finished college. You have no savings. Your own mother told you that you would never amount to anything, and she was right. Vivian has her life together. Vivian is going places. Vivian is not beneath anyone. You are beneath everyone. I know now that those thoughts were lies. I know now that depression has a voice, and it speaks in the cruelest tongues. But in that moment, sitting on that cold floor, I believed every word. My phone buzzed. It was a text from my supervisor at Greenway Waste Solutions. Denise, you're scheduled for the 6 a.m. route. Where are you? I looked at the time. It was 7:15 a.m. I was late. For a moment, just a moment, I considered not going. I considered staying on that floor forever. I considered disappearing into the numbness that was slowly wrapping around my chest like a vice. But then I thought about my grandmother. Grandma Rose. She raised me after my mother decided that motherhood was too inconvenient for her lifestyle. She worked 3 jobs to keep food on our table. She cleaned houses, washed dishes, and sorted recycling at the local plant. And every single day, she would look at me and say the same thing. Denise, it does not matter what you do. It matters that you show up. The world will try to break you, baby. But you just keep showing up. One day, they will see. One day, they will all see. She died when I was 19, before she could see anything. But her voice was still in my head. Show up, Denise. Just show up. So I did. I wiped my face, put on my uniform, and went to work. 2 weeks after Marcus left, I found out he had been cheating on me for 8 months. 8 months. 243 days of lies. I found out through social media, of course. Through a picture that Vivian posted of them on a beach in the Bahamas. A trip they had apparently taken together while Marcus told me he was at a work conference. The caption read, 8 months with my forever person. Here is to many more. 8 months. He had been planning his exit for 8 months while I sat at home waiting for him to come back from fake conferences. While I cooked his meals. While I washed his clothes. While I supported his dreams. I was his placeholder. I was his safety net. I was his trash. That night, I did something I had never done before. I drank an entire bottle of wine by myself and cried until I could not breathe. And then I made a decision. I was going to prove him wrong. I did not know how. I did not know when. I did not even know what proving him wrong would look like. But I knew one thing for certain. I was not going to stay on that floor forever. People do not understand waste management. They think it is just garbage. Just trash. Just the stuff that nobody wants anymore. But I had been working at Greenway for 4 years, and I knew the truth. Waste management is a goldmine. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry that most people never think about. It is logistics, engineering, environmental science, and business strategy all wrapped into one. It is one of the few industries that is completely recession-proof because no matter what happens in the economy, people will always produce garbage. And I had been paying attention. While Marcus was mocking my job, I was learning everything I could about the industry. I was studying the routes. I was analyzing the contracts. I was watching how the business operated from the inside out. I knew which neighborhoods produced the most recyclable materials. I knew which commercial clients were overpaying for their services. I knew where the inefficiencies were. I knew where the opportunities were. I just never thought I could do anything about it. Until Marcus left. Suddenly, I had nothing but time. No relationship to maintain. No apartment to decorate. No future to plan with someone else. I had only myself. And I decided to invest everything I had into becoming someone worth investing in. I enrolled in night classes at the community college. Business administration. I sat in the back of the room, surrounded by 18-year-olds who looked at me like I was ancient. I was 27, working full-time, and taking 15 credits a semester. I slept 4 hours a night. I ate ramen noodles for every meal. I wore the same 3 outfits on rotation. And I told no one. Not my coworkers. Not my few remaining friends. Not my estranged mother who occasionally texted me to ask for money. This was my secret. My hidden project. My private rebellion against everyone who ever said I would not amount to anything. Every night, after my classes, would sit in my tiny studio apartment, the cheapest one I could find after Marcus kicked me out, and I would study. Not just my coursework. The industry. I read every book I could find about waste management. I studied the major players, Waste Management Incorporated, Republic Services, Waste Connections. I analyzed their business models, their acquisition strategies, their profit margins. And I started to see something. A gap. A massive, overlooked, underserved gap. Small businesses. The big companies focused on large commercial clients and municipal contracts. They did not want to deal with small restaurants, boutiques, office buildings, or startups. The margins were too thin. The logistics were too complicated. But I knew those routes. I knew those neighborhoods. I knew exactly how to service those clients efficiently because I had been doing it for years. I just needed capital. I just needed a chance. I got my first investor 6 months later. Her name was Eleanor Chen, and she was 73 years old. I met her on my route. She owned a small Chinese restaurant on 5th Street that had been in her family for 40 years. Every Tuesday and Friday, I would pick up her recycling, and she would come outside with a cup of tea for me. "You look tired," she said one morning, handing me the tea. "You work too hard." "Just trying to build something," I said. She looked at me with those sharp, knowing eyes. "Build what?" I do not know why I told her. Maybe it was because she reminded me of Grandma Rose. Maybe it was because I was so tired of keeping secrets. Maybe it was because I needed someone, anyone, to believe in me. So I told her everything. The business plan. The gap in the market. The projections I had been working on for months. The small business-focused waste management company I wanted to create. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she set down her tea and said, "How much do you need?" "What?" "To start." "How much?" I had done the math 100 times. $50,000. For one truck, licensing, and initial operating costs. Eleanor nodded slowly. "I will give you 25. You find the other half." I almost dropped my tea. "Mrs. Chen, I cannot." "You can," she said firmly. "And you will. Because I see something in you, Denise. I see hunger. I see fight. I see a woman who has been told she is nothing, and she is about to prove everyone wrong." She reached into her apron and pulled out a business card. "This is my accountant. Call him tomorrow. We will draw up the papers." And just like that, I had my first investor. I found the other $25,000 over the next 3 months. It took everything I had. I sold my car and started taking the bus. I worked overtime every week. I took on a second job cleaning offices at night. I ate 1 meal a day. I stopped buying anything that was not absolutely essential. And I saved. Dollar by dollar. Paycheck by paycheck. Sacrifice by sacrifice. By the end of month 9, I had $23,000 in my savings account. The last $2,000 came from an unexpected source. My mother. She called me out of the blue one evening, slurring her words like she always did after her 3rd glass of wine. "Denise, I need $200. Just until next week." "I do not have it, Mom." "You always say that. You're just selfish. Your grandmother spoiled you, and now you think you're better than everyone." I let her rant. I had learned years ago that there was no point in arguing. But then she said something that changed everything. "You know, your father left some money when he died. I was supposed to give it to you when you turned 18, but I needed it. I spent it. All 5,000 of it." I froze. "What?" "He left it in a trust. For your education." But I was the trustee, so I just took it. $5,000. My father, who I never knew, who died in a car accident when I was 2 years old, had left me money for my education. And my mother had stolen it. "You owe me that money," I said, my voice cold. "Excuse me? You stole from me. You stole my father's gift to me. You owe me that money." She laughed. "Good luck getting it. I don't have anything." "Then I guess you don't have a daughter anymore either." I hung up. And then I did something I never thought I would do. I took legal action. It turned out that what my mother did was technically fraud. The trust had stipulations that she violated. And even though she claimed to have no money, she had assets. A house that was almost paid off. A car. Jewelry. My lawyer, a young woman named Patricia who worked pro bono for cases like mine, helped me file the paperwork. 3 months later, my mother was forced to pay me back. Not $5,000. $8,000. With interest. She never spoke to me again. And I was finally free. I called my company EcoHaul Solutions. We started with 1 truck, a used one that I bought at auction, and 3 employees, me, a driver named James, and a route coordinator named Sophia. Our first client was Eleanor Chen's restaurant. Our second client was the boutique next door. Our third client was the coffee shop across the street. Word spread. Within 6 months, we had 47 small business clients. Within a year, we had 112. I worked 18-hour days. I answered every phone call personally. I showed up at every client site to make sure the service was perfect. I treated every small business owner like they were my most important customer, because they were. And slowly, steadily, EcoHaul began to grow. By year 2, we had expanded to 3 trucks and 12 employees. I finished my associate degree and immediately enrolled in a bachelor's program. I moved out of my studio apartment and into a real 1-bedroom with actual furniture. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I was becoming someone. Not someone's girlfriend. Not someone's daughter. Not someone's burden. Just someone. Myself. By year 3, EcoHaul landed its first major contract, a partnership with the city to handle recycling for a low-income neighborhood that the big companies had ignored. The contract was worth $200,000 a year. I hired 20 more employees. I bought 2 more trucks, brand new this time. And I started to get noticed. Local newspapers wrote articles about the woman-owned waste management company that was changing the industry. Business magazines reached out for interviews. Other entrepreneurs asked me to speak at their events. I said yes to everything. Not because I wanted fame. Not because I wanted attention. But because I remembered being invisible. I remembered being told I was beneath everyone. And I wanted every other woman who felt that way to know that they could rise too. By year 4, EcoHaul Solutions was valued at $3 million. We had 70 employees, 15 trucks, and contracts with over 500 businesses across the city. I bought my first house, a small craftsman bungalow with a garden in the back, just like the one Grandma Rose always dreamed of having. I hung her picture in the living room. And every morning, I looked at it and said, "We made it, Grandma. We finally made it." I was sitting in my office, a real office now, with my name on the door, when Sophia knocked. It was 8 months into year 4, and I had almost forgotten about the past. Almost forgotten about the man who had thrown me away. Almost. "Denise, there's someone here to see you. Says he's an old friend. I don't have time for. He's insisting. Says his name is Marcus." The world stopped. Marcus. I had not seen him in 4 years. I had not spoken to him. I had not even thought about him, really, not in a long time. I had been too busy building an empire. "Send him in," I said, surprising myself. Sophia raised an eyebrow but nodded and left. A moment later, the door opened, and there he was. He looked different. Older. Thinner. There were lines around his eyes that had not been there before, and his designer clothes had been replaced with a plain button-down shirt that did not quite fit. But it was still him. The man who threw me away. Denise. He said my name like it was a prayer. Like it was something precious. You look incredible. I leaned back in my chair and studied him. What do you want, Marcus? I just wanted to see you. To catch up. I heard about Eco Hall, everyone's heard about Eco Hall, and I thought. You thought what? He shifted uncomfortably. I thought maybe we could talk. About old times. About possibilities. Possibilities. I made a mistake, Denise. A huge mistake. Leaving you was the worst decision I ever made. I almost laughed. Almost. What happened to Vivian? I asked. The one who was going places. His face darkened. She left. About a year ago. Took everything. The apartment, the savings, the car. How did you know? Because that is what people like Vivian do. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city below. My city now. They find someone with potential, extract what they can, and move on to the next host. I know that now. I was an idiot. I was. You were cruel. He went silent. You told me I was beneath you, I continued, still not looking at him. You told me I smelled like trash. You told me I had no ambition, no future, no worth. You packed my suitcase like I was yesterday's garbage and threw me out on the street. I was wrong. Yes. You were. I finally turned to face him. He looked small standing there. Small and desperate, and so very different from the arrogant man who had discarded me 4 years ago. What do you really want, Marcus? He took a deep breath. I need a job. I stared at him for a long moment. A job. I know it's a lot to ask. I know I don't deserve anything from you. But things have been hard. The company I was working for went under 6 months ago. I've been applying everywhere, but no one is hiring. I'm about to lose my apartment, Denise. I'm drowning. The irony was almost too perfect. 4 years ago, he had all the power. He had the apartment, the career, the future. And I had nothing. Now the tables had completely turned. What makes you think I would help you? I asked quietly. Because you're not like me. He stepped closer, his eyes pleading. You're kind. You're compassionate. You always were. That's what I threw away. Your heart. Your goodness. I was too stupid to see it. Pretty words. I mean them. Do you? He nodded desperately. Give me a chance to prove it. Just one chance. I'll do anything. I'll work any position. I don't care if I have to start at the bottom. I just need. The bottom? Yes. Anything. Please. I walked back to my desk and sat down. Eco Hall is a waste management company, Marcus. The bottom means collecting garbage. Driving trucks. Sorting recycling. Physical labor in the heat, the cold, the rain. It means smelling like trash. It means being beneath the people you pick up from. He swallowed hard but nodded. I understand. Do you? Because 4 years ago, you mocked me for doing exactly that job. You said I was nothing because I worked in waste management. I was wrong. You were cruel. I know. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Denise. I studied his face for a long time. Here was my chance for revenge. Here was my opportunity to reject him the way he rejected me. To throw his words back in his face. To make him feel exactly what I felt on that rainy Tuesday when he packed my suitcase and told me I was beneath him. But that is not who I wanted to be, That is not who Grandma Rose raised. I will give you a trial, I said finally. 2 weeks. You will work on the residential route with James. If you show up on time, work hard, and treat everyone with respect, I will consider keeping you on. His face flooded with relief. Thank you. Thank you so much. You won't regret this. I already regret it, I said honestly. But I believe in second chances. Even for people who don't deserve them. He started toward the door, then stopped. Denise? Yes? You really are incredible. Building all of this. Becoming who you've become. I was such a fool. Yes, I agreed. You were. He left. And I sat in my office for a very long time, wondering if I had just made the biggest mistake of my life. Marcus showed up on time. I will give him that much. He wore the green EcoHall uniform without complaint. He worked alongside James without attitude. He lifted bins, sorted recycling, and drove the routes without incident. James reported that he was quiet but diligent. A good worker. I wanted to believe that people could change. I wanted to believe that the man who destroyed me had somehow transformed into someone better. But I had also learned to trust my instincts. And my instincts told me something was wrong. It started small during the second week. Comments here and there. Casual mentions of the past. Reminders of the good times we had shared. Remember that restaurant on 4th Street, he would say when he saw me in the break room. We had our first date there. I drove by it the other day and thought of you. Denise, I saw that movie you used to love on TV last night. Made me think about how we used to watch it together. Do you still have that necklace I gave you? The silver one with the heart? I deflected. Changed the subject. Kept my distance. But he was persistent. And then the gift started. A coffee on my desk. A card tucked into my mailbox. A single rose left on my windshield. No notes. No signatures. But I knew who they were from. Marcus, we need to talk. He looked up from his locker, surprise in his eyes. Of course. What's up? The gifts need to stop. What gifts? Don't play games with me. The coffee. The cards. The flowers. I know they're from you. He smiled, that same charming smile that used to make me melt. That smile I now recognized as the mask of a manipulator. I just wanted you to know I was thinking about you. Is that so wrong? Yes. It is. I'm your employer now, Marcus. Not your girlfriend. Not your friend. Your employer. And what you're doing is inappropriate. I'm just trying to show you that I've changed. That I appreciate what you've done for me. That I still care about you. You cared about me so much that you threw me away for another woman. I told you, that was a mistake. Vivian was a mistake. You were always the one, Denise. I was just too blind to see it. I crossed my arms. What do you want, Marcus? Really? What do you mean? I mean, what is your endgame here? Do you think we're going to get back together? Do you think I'm going to forget what you did to me? What's the plan? He stepped closer, lowering his voice. I just think, we could be good together again. Think about it, Denise. You have this amazing company. I have experience in business development. We could be partners. In every way. There it was. The truth. He did not want me. He wanted what I had built. He wanted to attach himself to my success like a parasite, draining what he could before moving on to the next host. Just like Vivian did to him. No, I said firmly. No. We will never be partners. We will never be together. You work here because I believe in second chances, not because I have any interest in rekindling what we had. And if you cannot accept that, you need to find employment elsewhere. His charm faded. His smile disappeared. And for just a moment, I saw the real Marcus underneath. Cold. Calculating. Entitled. "You've changed," he said, his voice hardening. "Yes. I have. You threw me away like trash, and I rebuilt myself from the ground up. I'm not the desperate, insecure woman you left 4 years ago. I know my worth now. And you are not part of it." He stared at me for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "Okay. I understand. I'm sorry if I overstepped. It won't happen again." He walked away, and I watched him go. But I did not believe him. Not for a second. The rumors started 3 weeks later. Small whispers at first. Comments in the break room. Glances exchanged between employees. Then Sophia came to my office with a concerned look on her face. "Denise, I think you need to see this." She handed me her phone. On the screen was a social media post from a local, business gossip page. The headline read, "EcoHall CEO built empire on exploitation?" My heart stopped. The post alleged that I had stolen the idea for EcoHall from a former colleague. That I had sabotaged other companies to get my contracts. That I treated my employees poorly and paid them below market rate. All lies. Complete and utter lies. But damaging lies. Where did this come from? I asked. "I don't know. It's anonymous." "But Denise." Sophia hesitated. "The details in here. About the early days of the company. About Mrs. Chen. About the city contract. Only someone close to you would know those things." My blood ran cold. Marcus. I hired a digital forensics expert. It took him 2 days to trace the posts back to their origin. Marcus. He had created a fake account using a VPN, but he had made mistakes. Accessed the account from his phone. Posted during his lunch breaks. Used phrases that were distinctly his. But there was more. The expert found that Marcus had been in contact with someone at Vivian's new company, a larger waste management firm that had been trying to acquire EcoHall for months. He was feeding them information. Our client lists. Our route schedules. Our contract terms. Our expansion plans. He was trying to destroy me from the inside. I spent 3 days compiling everything. Screenshots of his posts. Records of his communications. Evidence of his corporate espionage. A complete paper trail of his betrayal. And then I invited him to my office. Marcus walked in like he owned the place. That same smile on his face. That same confidence in his stride. "You wanted to see me? Sit down." He sat, crossing his legs casually. "What's this about?" I placed a folder on the desk between us. "Open it." He looked at me curiously, then opened the folder. As he flipped through the pages, I watched his face change. The color drained from his cheeks. His confident smile disappeared. His hands started to tremble. "This is evidence," I said calmly. "Of your social media campaign to destroy my reputation. Of your communication with Pacific Waste Services about a potential acquisition. Of your agreement to provide them with confidential company information in exchange for a senior position at their firm." He looked up at me, and for the first time since I had known him, I saw fear in his eyes. "Denise, I can explain." "You don't need to explain. It's all right there. You came back to me with your sob story about losing everything. You begged me for a job. You tried to charm your way back into my life. And this whole time, you were planning to destroy everything I built and sell me out to the highest bidder. It wasn't like that. What was it like, then? Enlighten me." He was silent for a long moment. Then his shoulders slumped, and the mask finally fell away. "You weren't supposed to succeed," he said quietly. "When I left you, you were supposed to fall apart. You were supposed to prove me right, that you were nothing without me. But instead, you built this empire. You became someone. And every time I saw another article about you, every time I heard another success story, it reminded me of the biggest mistake I ever made. Leaving me? No. He looked at me with something like hatred in his eyes. Underestimating you. I leaned back in my chair. So this was revenge. I don't know what it was. I was angry. I was jealous. I was jealous? You have everything, Denise. The company. The money. The respect. And I have nothing. I lost Vivian. I lost my career. I lost my apartment. And you were just supposed to be nobody. You were supposed to be the one who lost. I thought about all the years I had spent carrying his words with me. All the nights I had lain awake, hearing his voice telling me I was beneath him. All the therapy sessions where I had worked to heal the wounds he had inflicted. And I realized something. He had never really mattered. Not in the way I had thought. He was just a catalyst. A necessary pain that pushed me toward my purpose. Without his cruelty, I might never have found my strength. You didn't make me successful, I said slowly. But you did make me realize that I could be. That I had to be. That I was never going to let anyone make me feel worthless again. So what now? He asked bitterly. Are you going to have me arrested? Ruin my life? I looked at the folder between us. At the evidence of his betrayal. At the ammunition I could use to destroy him completely. And I made a choice. No. He looked surprised. No. I'm not going to ruin you, Marcus. That's not who I am. But you are terminated, effective immediately. You will leave this building. You will never contact me again. And you will live with the knowledge of what you tried to do, and how spectacularly you failed. That's it? That's it. I stood up and walked to the door, opening it for him. I'm not going to waste my energy on revenge. I have a company to run. A life to live. People who depend on me. You're simply not worth my time. He stood slowly, looking at me with something I could not quite read. Respect, maybe. Or resignation. You really have changed, he said. I have. The old Denise would have taken me back. Would have believed me when I said I was sorry. Would have given me another chance. The old Denise was broken, I agreed. She believed that she needed other people to validate her worth. She thought she was beneath everyone. She was wrong. He walked to the door and paused. For what it's worth, he said quietly, I really did love you. Once. Maybe you did, I replied. But it wasn't enough. And I deserve more than enough. He nodded once and walked out. I never saw him again. Well, almost never. I called a company-wide meeting the next day. Standing in front of my 70 employees, the people who had believed in my vision, worked alongside me, helped build EcoHall into what it was, I told them everything. About Marcus. About the rumors. About the attempted sabotage. And then I told them the truth about my past. When I started this company, I said, I was no one. I was a woman who had been thrown away by someone who thought she was worthless. I had no money, no degree, no connections. All I had was a dream and a willingness to work harder than anyone else. The room was silent. You have all been part of that dream. You have all helped me build something that matters. And I want you to know that I will never stop fighting for this company, and for every single one of you. The applause started slowly and built to a roar. James was the first to stand. Then Sophia. Then everyone else. And as I looked out at the sea of green uniforms, my people, my team, my family, I realized that I had found something more valuable than revenge. I had found belonging. Pacific Waste Services withdrew their acquisition attempt. The rumors died down as my team rallied around me. Our clients stayed loyal. And EcoHall continued to grow. It was a Thursday morning in year 5 when I saw him again. I was sitting in my office, reviewing the quarterly reports, when something caught my eye through the window. A garbage truck. One of the competitors' trucks, Pacific Waste Services, the company that had tried to acquire us, rolling past on its morning route. And there, on the back of the truck, hauling bins to the lift, was Marcus. He was wearing the same type of uniform he had once mocked me for wearing. His face was weathered from early mornings and hard labor. His hands were dirty from sorting through other people's garbage. He looked up, just for a moment, and our eyes met through the glass. I do not know what he saw on my face. Maybe nothing. Maybe peace. Maybe the reflection of a woman who had stopped caring about proving him wrong a long time ago. He looked away first. And the truck moved on. That evening, I went home to my little craftsman bungalow. I made dinner. I sat in my garden and watched the sun set over the city. And I thought about all the paths that had led me here. The pain. The struggle. The doubt. The moments when I wanted to give up. The moments when I almost did. But also the growth. The strength. The people who believed in me when I could not believe in myself. Mrs. Chen with her $25,000. James with his steady reliability. Sophia with her unwavering support. Grandma Rose with her voice in my head, telling me to just keep showing up. I had been thrown away like trash. And I had risen from the garbage heap to build something beautiful. Not because of revenge. Not because of bitterness. Not because I wanted to prove anyone wrong. But because I finally understood my own worth. By year 7, EcoHall Solutions was valued at $15 million. We had expanded to 3 cities. We employed over 200 people. We had won awards for environmental innovation and sustainable practices. And I had been invited to speak at the National Waste Management Conference. Me. The woman who used to sort recycling on a garbage truck. The woman who was told she would never amount to anything. The woman who was thrown away like trash. I stood at the podium, looking out at the sea of faces, industry leaders, entrepreneurs, investors, and I told my story. All of it. The apartment I was kicked out of. The words that haunted me. The night I sat on the floor and almost gave up. The moment I decided to fight. The years of struggle, sacrifice, and silent growth. And the lesson I had learned along the way. Every great success starts with a struggle, I said, my voice steady and strong. But the struggle is not what defines us. It is what we do with it. It is the choice we make to rise or to stay down. It is the decision to believe in ourselves even when no one else does. I paused, looking at my hands. The same hands that had sorted garbage. The same hands that had signed my first business loan. The same hands that had built an empire from nothing. Someone once told me I was worthless, I continued. That I was beneath him. That I had no future. And for a long time, I believed him. I let his words become my truth. The room was silent. But here is what I know now. The people who try to make you feel small are small themselves. The people who throw you away are the ones who cannot recognize treasure. The people who tell you that you are nothing are terrified that you might become everything. I looked out at the audience and smiled. I was thrown away like trash. And now I own the company that collects it. Not because I wanted revenge. But because I finally understood that the only person who gets to define my worth is me. The applause was deafening. 10 years after Marcus packed my suitcase and told me I was beneath him, I sat down to write a letter. Not to him. To myself. Dear 27-year-old me. You are sitting on the floor of an empty apartment right now. The rain is falling outside. Your suitcase is by the door. And you think your life is over. It is not. It is just beginning. I wish I could tell you that the next few years will be easy. They will not. There will be nights when you cry yourself to sleep. There will be moments when you want to give up. There will be people who try to use you, betray you, and tear you down. But you will survive all of it. You will more than survive. You will thrive. The man who just walked out of your life did you the biggest favor anyone has ever done. He showed you what you are not worth staying for. And in the empty space he left behind, you will discover what you are capable of becoming. You will build a company from nothing. You will employ hundreds of people. You will change an industry. You will prove every single person who ever doubted you absolutely, spectacularly wrong. But here is the thing I most want you to know. The success is not the point. The point is who you become along the way. The point is learning to love yourself. To value yourself. To stand up for yourself. To know, deep in your bones, that you are worthy of good things. The woman you will become is strong. She is resilient. She is kind. She is fierce. She is you. She was always you. You just had not met her yet. So get up off that floor. Wipe your eyes. Go to work in the morning. Take the first small step toward the life you deserve. The world is waiting for you to show up. And trust me, you will. With all my love. The woman you will become. They say that success is the best revenge. But I do not think that is true. Success is not about revenge. It is not about proving people wrong. It is not about making others feel small so that you can feel big. Success is about freedom. Freedom from the voices that told you that you were not enough. Freedom from the people who tried to keep you small. Freedom from the version of yourself that believed the lies. I was thrown away like trash. And I turned myself into treasure. Not because of anyone else. But because I finally believed that I was worth polishing. If you are watching this video from a place of pain, if someone has made you feel worthless, discarded, thrown away, I want you to know something. This is not your ending. This is your beginning. The struggle you are in right now is preparing you for the success that is coming. The pain you feel is building the strength you will need. The rejection you have experienced is clearing the path for the acceptance you deserve. You are not trash. You never were. You are a diamond that just has not been discovered yet. And one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day, you will look back at this moment and realize that it was the best thing that ever happened to you. Because it made you who you were always meant to be. Keep showing up. Keep fighting. Keep believing. Your day is coming. This has been Helen's Tale. Until next time, remember, every great success starts with a struggle. And you are already on your way.